Welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing my first 2024 mock draft. Well, I guess I did it way too early last year, but my first one of the draft season here. Told you we're getting in the swing of the draft things. I'm going to try and make this not super long, although mock drafts are usually pretty long, but this is, like I said, first mock draft though. We haven't even gone to the all-star games and stuff and all of the combine and everything, so a lot's going to change, but we're going to go and give it a first run here. We're going to go ahead and start at number one, the highly debated thing. Everyone's talking about it. Justin Fields, Caleb Williams. I think it's Caleb Williams. I think with Justin Fields, he's a good quarterback. But even if you view Caleb Williams and Justin Fields similarly, you take the 4-5 years of a Caleb Williams on a rookie deal, then Justin Fields you're going to have to pay. So I just think a guy like Caleb Williams is just such a high upside. I know everyone's been hating on Caleb Williams, and I think it's the dumbest thing ever. It's just you're over analyzing someone who's just so good that everyone has to find something wrong. He is such a good quarterback prospect, and I don't want people taken away from the fact that how good he is just because he's been at the pedestal, the top of the pedestal for so long that people want to knock him down, and they're finding every possible reason to knock this man down. But he's just not going to fall because he is an incredible quarterback prospect. I'm not going to be throwing around generational, all that stuff, because I made my mistake with Trevor Lawrence. And it's hard to even call anyone ever generational. So I'm not going to use that tag with him. But he is a damn good number one quarterback prospect and the best we've seen since at least Joe Burrow. He's a stud, or Trevor Lawrence too, but he's a stud, and I don't like people overanalyzing, man. He's a stud. Stop overanalyzing him. Number two, I'm going to go with Drake May. I know a lot of people have been kind of, hey, maybe Jaden Daniels. I think I like Jaden Daniels, but for me, Drake May, just the fact that he has a little bit of inaccuracy issues, but he has the high end. The thing is, some people are like, oh, Drake May's your system quarterback. He'll throw it in there. Justin Herbert, Caleb Williams, your out of system guy. Don't put Drake May in that system quarterback conversation. Go back. This man threw a left-handed touchdown in this past season. He is incredible out of the structure. He's a good runner too, and he can make any throw in the books, man. His arm talent is off the charts. He can make any throw. So I prefer him over Jaden Daniels there, just that arm talent and the off-script ability from Drake May. He lost a lot of weapons in North Carolina this last year with his top two receivers going to the draft. And it was a tough year for North Carolina. They, started really well and then kind of ended down, but I still think Drake May's that dude. And then three is where it gets interesting. Gerard Mayo and the Patriots are up at 3. And I have an interesting take here. A lot of people are probably just saying Jaden Daniels, write it in. I'm going to Big Marv. Now, a lot of people aren't going to like this pick. Let me explain it out. So you're here, you're the Patriots. You need a lot if you're the Patriots. For me, I just look at it as, okay, I can draft Jaden Daniels, but who am I going to get at receiver? Maybe you go spend big money on T. Higgins, Calvin Ridley, Mike Evans or something. But really, he's not going to be throwing to anyone. And because they have not a lot of guys. Pop Douglas is a good rotational guy. But he's about really all they got for the future there. And so you can grab Jaden Daniels, and yeah, you can run that. But I think with what we've seen in the playoffs this year, look at the quarterbacks that are winning playoff games. You got Jordan Love in his first year. His first year as a true full starter. You got Baker Mayfield. You got Jared Goff. You got all these quarterbacks who normally you would say that's not a top tier quarterback winning playoff games because they have the team around them and the coaching and stuff. So I think more teams are going to look at this, hey, maybe we don't need to rush a quarterback, and maybe it is a good idea to build up our roster, and who knows, maybe we sign some quarterback that makes us on a little miracle. But worst case scenario, we're probably not going to be a good team again. Take the best player, Marvin Harrison, who's way safer than Jaden Daniels. Marvin Harrison is going to be an all-pro receiver at one point in his career. I can almost guarantee you that. Whereas Jaden Daniels, who knows? Dude could be a bust. I don't think he will be, but who knows? It's a lot safer with Marvin Harrison. Go ahead and take the dude, and then maybe if you're bad next year, you take a quarterback next year. But I just think you build up the roster around the quarterback first, unless it's a dude where if it was Caleb Williams, I'd be like, okay, maybe just take Caleb Williams. But Jaden Daniels, I'm not as sure on as even Caleb Williams or Drake May. Whereas I'd rather just take the safe thing in Marvin Harrison, get that Gerard Mayo era off to the right. Maybe go either draft a second round quarterback, whether you want to do a Michael Penix kind of draft pick, or even just go sign someone in free agent. Man, there's gonna be tons of just even decent quarterbacks. You're not trying to win this. You're not going to win the Super Bowl this year for the Patriots. So start building that roster first. That's my pick there. Number 4. Sorry, I said I'm not going to take too long. and I'm taking a long time. We're up here with the Arizona Cardinals, and for them, I think I'm going to go tackle. I think Paris Johnson has played really well at right tackle. I want to go ahead and get myself a left tackle and solidify this line because building up the lines is the best way to do it. So we're going to build up the lines, and for me, that's either Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu. Personally, slightly prefer Olu Fashanu. I mean, this dude as a pass blocker, you don't get past Olu as a pass blocker. I think Joe Alt's a little bit of a run blocker, but you could go either way with them. I'm not going to do a whole tackle debate here because I haven't watched too much of them, but I got a slight edge on Fashanu there. Pick 5 for the Chargers. I think you got to get weapons for Herbert. We're going to go Malik Neighbors. He's a dude that, you've probably heard a lot, but if you don't really follow the draft a lot, I mean, Malik Neighbors is a dude that's like a wide receiver 90% of the drafts. He just happens to be in a draft with Marvin Harrison. I mean, this dude's acceleration and speed is just full on display. Go back and watch some of his highlights. I don't remember what game it was, but there's a game where he runs basically a drag route, catches it across the middle, and he just turns to a different gear and just gets to the sideline, gets up, and scores like an 80-yard touchdown. I mean, this dude has insane speed. He's got good ball skills. He's hard to bring down. And just that dude that just moves well. I've seen Stephon Diggs is some of the comps, DJ Moore, but he just moves really well and he's quick. Like that pick there. Now we're going up to the Giants. Now the Giants have said, hey, we're keeping Danny Dimes another year. I don't believe it. This is where I have my Jaden Daniels going. If you're a team like the Giants, you draft Jaden Daniels, you can still start Danny Dimes for another year. This pick isn't saying that Danny Dimes is done. I mean, he can still play another year. Jaden Daniels can sit a year if he has to, but I don't think Daniel Jones is the future. So personally, that's where I would go. I can see a Romo Dunze, or if Malik Neighbors does fall to them, I think that would be another pick they go. But with how the board falls out, Jaden Daniels for me has got to be the pick there. Now the Tennessee Titans. This is where I'm going to take Romo Dunze. I don't know if DeAndre Hopkins is coming back or not. Treylon Burks really hasn't stepped up to be what they need. And if you're going to roll with Will Levis, you're going to roll with a second-year quarterback now. You want to give him all the ability to succeed. We've seen time after time these quarterbacks need that receiver. I mean, Josh Allen, when he got Diggs, took the step up. Hurts with A.J. Brown, Tua with Tyreek Hill. You see it. Now, this is a rookie receiver, so it's not going to, maybe have as big of an impact as, the guys I just mentioned had. But Romo Dunze is a dog. I mean, another dude who, just because he's wide receiver 3 in this class doesn't mean he's not a hell of a wide receiver. A lot of people probably saw the Washington since they made the playoffs, but he's been doing it for 2 years now. The one main concern after last year of him was his contested catch. He was a big dude, but he just he wasn't great at the catch point. And then that just changed this last year. I mean, you could tell he worked on that in the offseason, and he was incredible at the catch point now. So that something that you see, not only is he good, but he's improving, and he obviously looked at what he was lacking last year and fixed that, and that's one thing I love to see. So go ahead and get Will Levis as certified receiver 1 in that offense. Now we're up here with the Atlanta Falcons. This is an interesting one. I think they're going to attack quarterback in free agency, whether it is a trade for Justin Fields or a sneaky little Kirk Cousins or something. I think that's more where they're going to go quarterback, so I don't really see them going quarterback here. So they're not going quarterback. Instead, looking at what's available, usually, they're a hard team because, they've just been spending high draft picks on tight ends and, running backs. So for all I know, this pick could be some there's no one even that they really could draft like that, but who knows where they're going to go with this pick. But I want to attack the defense, and I could go corner or I could go edge rusher. I'm going to go edge rusher, give them some help. Most people have Dallas Turner as edge 1. I'm a little more worried about Dallas Turner. He incredible athleticism, but just watching some of his film, he just has a couple traits that they definitely could be fixed in the NFL, but just some things that I see that I'm I'd like to if NFL teams draft him, that means they talk to him, they interview well, and those are some things that they know they can fix. But for me, I'm just gonna go with Jared Verse because I think he's just such a safe prospect. This dude's gonna be a very good edge in the NFL, and I just have him slight over Dallas Turner. Just more for Dallas Turner is an athletic freak upside, but he's still got a lot to develop in terms of his pass rushing. He's really just a bull rusher at this point. And I see some times where he's not playing with the highest effort and stuff, which is, like I said, stuff that can easily be fixed, but I don't have those same concerns with Jared Verse. So I think Jared Verse is that, so I'll go there. Wouldn't be surprised. I think in the actual NFL draft, Dallas Turner is going to be the first edge because these guys want to just take athletic freaks and build them up. We saw that with the first overall pick in Trayvon Walker the other year. It's just what NFL teams do. Their coaches really believe that they can develop these dudes, and so that's what they're going to do. But for me, I'll take the dude who's already really good in Jared Verse. Now we got the Chicago Bears, who we got Caleb Williams, number 1. You could probably trade Justin Fields for like a second-round pick or something later on. But coming back up on the board, as much as I love to give him another receiver, there's none that I'm definitely going to take here at 9 with the first 3 all off the board. Brock Bowers could be something, but if I'm the Bears and I'm getting close, we're getting close. The Bears are getting close to being competitive, but they're still in that rebuilding phase, and when you're in a rebuilding phase, you take high-value positions. So that's Joe Alt. I talked about him versus Fashanu. He's a freak. He's like 6'7" something. I mean, he's a freak, really good run blocker. He's been like one of the highest-graded PFF dudes in every year he's played at Notre Dame. Very good player. I'm just taking the best player at the most valuable position that's on the board, and that's what you do when you're a rebuilding team. Like I said, the Bears are close, but you're kind of moving that clock back by drafting Caleb Williams, so we'll go ahead and take Joe Alt. Now for the Jets, they're probably upset because all of the two tackles they want are gone. Between this Jets pick is easy for me between 2 players. It is between Talisi Fuaga from Oregon State, big tackle, or Brock Bowers. Now, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a lot to say about this pick, and I think Mekhi Becton, I think a lot of Jets fans are basically saying Mekhi Becton just walk. They're basically ready to replace him. But, I mean, there's a chance they re-sign Mekhi Becton and, try and give him another chance. And then in that case, it would go Brock Bowers. So, either way, I could see it going. We're going to go Brock Bowers just for the fun of it. It's probably Talisi Fuaga, especially knowing their front office. His name's blanking my mind, but he came over from the Eagles. Was it Joe Douglas? Came over from the Eagles in that, we draft the lines. So I wouldn't be sure. That's probably Fuaga. But for me, I'm going to take Brock Bowers, tight end. That's going to be like one of the best tight ends in the league the second he steps on the field. Now we got an interesting pick. For the Vikings, they're going to be losing Kirk Cousins. I got them going quarterback, and I'm going to go my next quarterback off the board, which is Bo Nix. We can argue whether or not they drafted quarterback. Quick argument for why they drafted quarterback. Kirk Cousins is probably out. I don't see them really re-signing him. You could go after the free agent route, but, I mean, last time that got you Kirk Cousins, and how many playoff games have you won with that? Not many. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the draft for them. And then in between here, so it was between Bo Nix, Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy. Those are the 3 kind of guys that people would argue. Michael Penix, just insane injury history. That's going to be tough, and he's going to be off a lot of draft boards. I mean, he had, 3 season-ending injuries at Indiana before transferring to Washington. And, man, I was ready to, if Michael Penix would have killed it in the Natty, I would have been there with Michael Penix, but he struggled in the Natty, and in the big moment, he struggled, and I know you could say Michael Penix beat Bo Nix twice, and fair enough, he did, but I just liked what I saw. And J.J. McCarthy, I'm not there on a first-round pick, man. Yeah, I don't want to talk much about that, but he might go in the first because it sounds a lot of things that I'm not in tune, but a lot of things I'm hearing from people that are in tune are saying that they're hearing from other people that J.J. McCarthy might be a first round pick because NFL scouts love this dude's athleticism and stuff, but not in my mock draft. Next up, the Denver Broncos here. For me, you're going corner or edge most likely, so you're looking at probably Dallas Turner, and my corner 1 is Cooper DeJean. For me, I'm going to go with Cooper DeJean. Get the best cornerback, in my opinion, in the class, Cooper DeJean. I mean, this dude was like an all-state jumper and 100-meter runner coming out of high school. Insane track athlete. He's just an insane athlete. You watch him, he's just so good at playing the ball. I think he was a quarterback in high school. I heard he was chucking the rock in high school. I mean, this dude's just an athlete's athlete. He had the punt return against, I don't even remember who was against, but he had a punt return that was called back because of a fake fair catch call. But his athleticism was off the charts. Smart player. Iowa, great dude, and a white cornerback out there for you. So Jason Seymour might have some company. And actually, his teammate, another white cornerback, Riley Moss, is on the Broncos right now. So maybe Riley Moss will give him some recommendations. Next up, we got the Vegas Raiders. Great job re-signing Antonio Pierce Vegas. I love that hire. But for the Vegas Raiders, I like the Jack Jones addition, but I still think that secondary could use a lot of help. So I'm going to go with my corner 2, Nate Wiggins. I'm so happy to see Nate Wiggins getting the respect he deserves. I was all over this dude back in May when I was doing like my way too early scouting and mock drafts and stuff. And he's here. I mean, height, weight, speed, dude. He's a little slim, but like this dude, he's a dude that will get up in your face. He will play you tough. Like I said, height, weight, speed. He's long arms. I mean, like a pterodactyl kind of dude out there. Great corner. Go watch Nate Wiggins because he's a fun dude to watch. Next up, the Saints. Year after year, one of the hardest teams to mock draft for because I just have no idea what direction they're going to go. For me, without the boards falling off, I'm going to go with Fuaga. I actually didn't think he would probably be there, but probably the next tackle off the board. They just got to get some tackle up. Penning's been kind of struggling. So let's go ahead and get, like I said, they're in a similar boat to the Bears. You're going to be kind of a rebuilding team, Derek Carr's kind of on his way. I wouldn't be surprised if they draft a quarterback at some point in this draft. And you really just, like I said, get valuable positions in the best players at those positions. Tackles valuable. Get Fuaga. Next up, we got the Indianapolis Colts. For this pick, I am going to attack. I have no idea what I'm going to attack for this pick. I would like to get them some receiver help. Don't know if Pittman's coming back or not, but I think they re-signed Pittman. So we're just going to probably go for a value pick here. And I'm just going to go Terrion Arnold, and they could use some help in that secondary. And Terrion Arnold, I mean, dude is athletic as hell, man. I wasn't as high at my first watch on Terrion Arnold, but the more I watched, the more I started looking at him. I see what people are saying, man. This dude's raw, but he is an incredible athlete. I think he was a former safety, moved to corner. I like what I'm seeing from Terrion Arnold, so that's just good value pick for the Colts. They don't have any like glaring holes. They could probably use some O-linemen, but that's where we're going to go. Next up, the Seahawks. They need interior O-line really bad. I'd love to get Dallas Turner for them. Wouldn't be surprised, but I really just want to help that O-line. Now I'm going to get my number one interior O-lineman, which isn't an interior O-lineman on here, but it is Troy Fatenau from Washington. This dude was a tackle at Washington. You probably saw him. I mean, he was a menace in that Oregon game in the Pac-12 championship. Dude's probably going to be a guard. You can see, like, he just moves so well, they pulled their tackles a lot in Washington's scheme and stuff, and I think he's going to be a great guard. I think like Peter Skoronski last year, maybe not quite as good as Peter Skoronski, but like a dude who was a really good tackle, but I think he's going to be like a Pro Bowl level kind of guard at the next level, so we're going to go Fatenau there. Next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. It says edge. I mean, I assume they re-signed Josh Allen and they still have Trayvon Walker, so you're going to be limited reps at edge. And I would like to go corner, but Terrion Arnold's off the board. I like Kool-Aid. I don't know if they would go Kool-Aid here. They could go interior line. I think they definitely need to just attack this defense, though. And you know what? We're just going to go with Kool-Aid, man. They just hired their new defensive coordinator, a guy from the Falcons. I don't know the name off the top of my head. But you just need help in that secondary. And Kool-Aid's just a dude, I mean, like, he's been starting forever at Nick Saban, Alabama. That's really all you got to say. This dude in press man is like, I mean, he's sticky, man. This dude, he flows so well with his hips and man coverage. This dude will get up in your face. Probably the best, like, pure press man corner in this draft. And just technique is off the charts. The only question with him is, like, his burst and his long speed athleticism. Like, he kind of struggled against Texas, against like Xavier Worthy and A.D. Mitchell, some of those speedsters, but like there's not much to nitpick on Kool-Aid McKinstry other than that. When you're talking about like long speed slightly like that is like the only thing you can criticize really about him, and then being maybe a little grabby, but that's a good sign. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals. This isn't probably a common pick, but with Dallas Turner still on the board, I'm just going to take him, man. I know that they have good D-line, and it's not like the biggest need for them, but you can always use edge rushers, and I think 18 is, as much as I've said I have some concerns with Dallas Turner, I mean, at 18, that's still great value for the Cincinnati Bengals. I know some people would probably like to see O-line. I think it's J.C. Latham would probably be the pick if you want to go O-line. Wouldn't hate that pick at all, but I'm just going to personally go Dallas Turner. Next up, we got the L.A. Rams, who I am personally going to take J.C. Latham. They need a lot of positions. And O-line is definitely one of those positions. J.C. Latham is a right tackle coming out of Alabama. Pretty solid big boy tackle. Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers. are on the clock. Another team that could, use a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We're going to go for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I actually really kind of want to get them a receiver because, Deontay Johnson's getting up there at that part of his career. I don't know how long he's going to be there. Pickens, but outside of that, they've kind of been struggling at receiver. And I'm going to grab Brian Thomas. This dude is a legit deep threat. If you turn on LSU, every one of his highlights is probably like a 40-yard touchdown. This dude is a certified deep threat, long, tall, quick, good hands. This dude is what you want from a receiver, and I just think they're going to need a little more depth there. So next up, we got the Miami Dolphins. I'm just going to probably get some O-line help. They've just been killed by, I was going to go O-line help. They could, or Leatu Latu, because Jalen Phillips, coming off the Achilles, might be ready by the beginning of the season, but Bradley Chubb tore his ACL, I think it was, at the end of the season. He might miss a lot of the season, so they're actually going to need some edge rush. So I'm going to take Leatu Latu, who's the best pass rusher in this draft class. He's not going to test off the charts, which is why he's going to be down here at 21, not up there with like Dallas Turner and Jared Verse. But just technically, if you're like a D-line, like if you love watching D-line pass rush, if you're a D-line coach, you're going to love Leatu Latu. This dude is just, his technique, his hands, his hips, his feet, everything working in unison. Beautiful film to watch if you like that kind of stuff. But Leatu Latu there to the Dolphins. Next up, Philadelphia Eagles. My boys, we're here. I would love a corner if one's available, but with how it falls out, the next corner is probably Rakestraw or Quinion Mitchell, who I'm not as high on. As much as, it's a boring pick, we're going to go ahead and take Amarius Mims. We're just going to take, Lane Johnson's only got a couple more years. I know we drafted Tyler Steen, but you're not in a position to draft a good tackle in a lot of drafts, and we're in a position here where there's a good tackle on the board. You just got to take O-line. It's a perfect Howie move. I think we can attack corner and linebacker and some of those needs more in the second. We got 2 second-round picks, so we're just going to take our tackle in the first round. Next up, we got the Houston Texans coming off a hell of a season. Here, I'm going to go ahead and take interior lineman number 1, who's going to be a guy rising up boards late, Byron Murphy. I think he's going to ball. I think he's going to the Senior Bowl, but he's going to ball. I love Jerzon Newton too. I think it could be Jerzon Newton, but I think Byron Murphy is just, I think Byron Murphy's 20 or 21 years old when the draft happens. Super young dude, high upside. He's going to be a huge riser. They could use some interior pass rush to pair with Will Anderson and Grenard on the outside. Next up, we have the Dallas Cowboys after their tough exit. We're going to go ahead and get them a receiver too. I think this is a really deep receiver class, and I think they could use, CeeDee Lamb was a stud, and Brandon Cooks was up and down. Michael Gallup didn't really have it this year. It's kind of like if CeeDee and Dak didn't have it, Ferguson would make some big plays, but they just need another weapon on the outside. So I'm going to get Troy Franklin. He's going to be a great deep threat for them. He's basically almost like Brandon Cooks when he was young, he's taller and longer than Brandon Cooks, but that same thing where he can provide that deep threat ability for them, but he's going to be younger and get that there. Next up, the Packers, after their disappointing exit against the 49ers, are coming up here at pick 25. They could go a lot of ways with this pick. I'm probably just going to go with a kind of safe pick and take Jerzon Newton, who is probably just the best player available on the board. Johnny Newton, out of Illinois, he's a hell of a D tackle. It's between him and Byron Murphy. I need to watch more film before I really decide who's going to be my DT1. I haven't gone in depth with those guys yet, but Johnny Newton's a stud. They pair him up with Kenny Clark and Devontae Wyatt. They got a deep rotation. I don't know how long Kenny Clark's got left, but I just think, they could follow that kind of Eagles strategy of putting just investment into that D-line. And he's just the best player available, so that's where I'm going to go. Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I am going to go with some edge help here. I think they have their edge rushers just haven't really stepped up to the plate. Joe Tryon just hasn't quite been what he could have been. Yaya Diaby's a stud, but I think they could use a little more help. And I love Braylon Trice, man. This dude's a dog. If you go watch any of those Washington games, he's a bit of a bigger defensive end, but he plays incredibly well with his hands. And one of my favorite players in the draft, Braylon Trice. So I think that's a steal getting him at 26 for Tampa, because I might be even higher on Braylon Trice when it comes to it. He might be a top 20 guy for me when it all comes said and done, because he's just a hell of a player. Now we got the Arizona Cardinals, who if we go back up a little bit, got Olu Fashanu at pick 4, now back up on the board at pick 27. I want to get some secondary help for them. And so it's between Rakestraw and Quinion Mitchell. I haven't gotten a Quinion Mitchell film yet, but I'm going to go with Rakestraw. I like what I saw from Rakestraw on my first kind of watch of him. I mean, this dude's a really good athlete, bigger kind of corner. He can really just hold his own ground. He's the next one. I say got a little more to do with the corners, but corner is definitely a need, I think, for them, and that's where we're gonna go. Next up, Buffalo. Buffalo was just missing that one piece, and after watching that game, I think it made it apparent. After watching that Chiefs game, they need another receiver. I'm gonna go to get them a dog in Tez Walker. Tez Walker is a really good deep threat. I think kind of like a Gabe Davis kind of, he can be that deep threat, but Duke can win. He's really good at the catch point. He had some weird suspension stuff with the NCAA after transferring, but ended up getting the start at the end of the season with Drake May, and he's just a baller, man. There's not much to say about it. Next up, the Kansas City Chiefs are on the board here. They could really go any way with this pick, just kind of scrolling through, seeing who's available and who I like. It would be I kind of like interior D line for them. And there's two ways you could go. If you want, I think Leonard Taylor is going to be like a late kind of riser because for some reason Miami played this dude at nose for all the time, even though he's like an obvious 3-tech and he has like some crazy like pass rush win percentage as a 3-tech, and he's going to be an incredible 3-tech pass rusher. So you go that direction, or you go Chris Jenkins, who's kind of the opposite, more of like a run defender. And for me, let's add some more pass rush, man. Let's go Leonard Taylor. This dude, like I said, he's a really good pass rushing 3-tech that was just played at nose, out of position at Miami the whole time. I don't know why. We're not going to question that, but Leonard Taylor, he's an incredible athlete, and he's going to be he's going to be really good at pass rushing in the NFL. Next up, the Detroit Lions. For me, for Detroit, I definitely think they need to add more to that secondary. Their cornerback position got weak, and teams were just throwing the ball all over them. So you're either going Kamari Lassiter, who's not quite as athletic, but he's long and one of the best. He has some of the best technique in this entire draft class, and just with his eyes, such a smart player from Georgia. Or you go Quinion Mitchell, who's going to be a little bit more athletic. He plays off coverage, like almost like exclusively at Toledo, played off coverage, so you get a little less flexibility with him to press man. Maybe he can play press man. We just haven't seen it a lot, but we're gonna go Kamari Lassiter here. I think the reason I do that is because one thing you question with Lassiter is athleticism a little, and maybe he gets beat over top. But I love their safeties, man. With Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph behind him, I think he can feel more comfortable to get up in dudes' faces, play some physical press man coverage, and know that he's got those safety blankets over the top of him. I think that'll help. I think he might just feel a little better. But like I said, I still haven't watched Quinion Mitchell, so maybe I'm coming back to this in a month saying I don't know why I did that, but here we are. Next up, the San Francisco 49ers also need a corner, and we'll go ahead and take the boy Quinion Mitchell. Even though they do play some press, they can run it all. They need a corner. We saw that after that Packers game. We'll go Quinion Mitchell. I just talked about him. Last but not least, the Baltimore Ravens are up on the clock here. Looking at they could really go any direction they want. I can't tell you I have any idea who I would personally take, but I'm just trying to think, when we're looking at, they maybe use some more offensive linemen, but that's you're getting depth at the O-line at that point. Or you could go ahead and get like a playmaker at DB, but there's no one really left. I wanted to like Kalen King, but my God, Marvin Harrison put that dude. Marvin Harrison just did Kalen King dirty. He cost him so much money in the draft, but that's what Marvin Harrison does. We're just gonna take we're gonna take, let's go ahead and take more of a developmental edge in Chop Robinson. And I say developmental, he's a hell of an edge rusher. He just it was towards ACL or his Achilles, so he's gonna miss the beginning of the season, but they can afford to have him sit because Chop Robinson's a hell of an edge rusher, man. If he was healthy, he's up there in probably a top 25 kind of dude in this class, but sadly his injury might make him fall a little. But that was my first round mock draft. Let me know what you guys thought. Any other guys I think you should go back and watch the film on, and I'll see you guys for more video. Thanks for watching.